Ep7. I have a very special episode for you people today. I know last week's episode was pretty special with our little guests and everything and it being Halloween, but this week's even more special. For those of you who don't know, I recently picked up Kirby Epic Yarn, and I played through it and I enjoyed it, and I'm going to be doing a review. But first, the star of Kirby Epic Yarn is, of course, Kirby. And through sources I can't say, I managed to score a phone interview with him. So I'm very excited. I haven't talked to him yet. He's on hold right now. Very first interview with Kirby about his thoughts on his new game and where he's been taking it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to keep this star waiting. Without further ado, I want to introduce you to Kirby, star of Kirby's Epic Yarn and many other games. Welcome, Kirby, to Retro Gamer Ranting. This is an honor. And a hi back to you too. Now I'm just gonna cut to the chase here and ask the questions people want to know. What was it like preparing for the new Kirby Epic Yarn? This game is completely a different style. Did you have to do something different in order to prepare for this game? Yes, that's great. Hang on. What did he say? I don't know. Yeah, I told you we needed a translator. I just thought that's what he did when he was in character. I know I'm on the air. Sorry. Yeah. Next question, Kirby. In this game, you had to take a completely new form, the form of yarn, and I was wondering if that was a bit painful for you. You had to transform into many different objects, and if that twisting and turning of transforming was painful, or did it tickle? No, Kirby, don't eat the phone. We can't do the interview if... Oh, jeez. Hello? Is anyone there? It would seem Kirby swallowed the phone. Hello? Okay, that didn't go the way I was hoping it would. Bit awkward. Well, it would seem we had some technical difficulties with our interview with Kirby, but I won't let that damper my mood, and I will proceed with my review for Kirby's Epic Yarn on the Nintendo Wii. What can I say about Kirby's Epic Yarn? It's a fun little romp that's definitely for the kid at heart. In fact, I'd suggest you be a kid at heart in order to play this game, because it's more tailored towards children, for the most part. How do you know that? Well, the story for starters. The story is narrated by some nice, gentle-sounding man who reads the story like a children's book in the opening scenes and any other cutscenes in the game. All the characters are little cardboard cutouts that we would see in a storybook, at least until they reach Patchland, and after Patchland, they all turn into cute little yarn. The gist of the whole story is that Kirby is walking around a dreamland, he finds a meta tomato, and he tries to eat it. Well, he successfully eats it. And then this evil villain made of yarn, called Yin Yarn, catches him and traps him inside his magic sock, which is portal to Patchland. Upon getting there, Kirby finds Prince Puff, who informs him that Yin Yarn has torn apart all of Patchland. Literally. And he enlists your help to help sew things back together. Literally. Again, not making this stuff up. From there, you just go on your typical adventure as a Kirby, except for it's not as typical, because everything's made of yarn. Which moves on to graphics. The graphics are the most unique thing you'll probably ever see, and it's cute. Amazingly cute, in fact. So cute, it's fun. All the characters are made of yarn. All the backgrounds are made of patchwork. You honestly can see a bunch of little old ladies sitting there stitching and sewing these things together for the game. That's how good this game looks. It's every level is unique. Every area is unique. You don't feel like you're playing the same level over and over again. They all have different themes, they all have different graphics, and you will run into enemies that you are familiar with and some not so familiar with. But it is definitely a pretty thing to look at. It's not like it's really pushing the limits, but the unique art style, it's not trying to be realistic, it's trying to be cute. Not that Kirby was really realistic in the first place. It took the pink puffball and made him even cuter. Moving on to gameplay. Gameplay is your standard fare. Basically, you hold the Wii Remote sideways like you would a classic Nintendo controller, and you use the 1 button to attack and the 2 button to jump. You also use the directional buttons to, of course, move around. Now, this isn't really a big problem. In fact, it works really well for this, unlike what some people complained for Metroid Other M. The sideways Wii Remote controller is perfect for side-scrolling platformers, so you won't really find too much of an issue. I did every now and then have problems with trying to direct my yarn attack in certain directions. Oh, I should explain that. Kirby doesn't suck up enemies anymore. He can't, he's made of yarn. So he uses a yarn whip. He also has other things that he can use, like the ability to stomp on enemies by turning into a giant dumbbell of some kind. He can also turn into a car. It's kind of like his dash mode, makes him go faster. And he can turn into a parachute to glide down from high surfaces easier. Now, his little yarn whip can do a couple of different things. You can use it to hang from certain areas and swing left and right and fling yourself over, kind of like Spider-Man would, I suppose. You can use it to de-ravel enemies or even pick them up into a ball of yarn and throw them at other objects. You can also use the whip to grab hold of objects in the environment to either reveal patches or reveal secret areas. So that's kind of cool too. Kirby also has the ability to transform into other objects. Now it's more circumstantial than, of course, enemy-orientated. You don't get your abilities by defeating enemies. You get it by grabbing a patch that will turn you into, say, a giant robot tank, which is very fun, or a monster truck race vehicle, or a dolphin, or a UFO. It just is immensely satisfying, and it breaks things up a bit. There's even some space shooting areas. This definitely does break things up a bit and makes things much less tedious than one would think. Now, some of the transformations are more interesting than the others. I didn't seem to enjoy the digging mode version of Kirby, and the surfboard one or the snowboarding Kirby wasn't quite as good, but that's mostly because of my skill. I found it little harder to control. I did enjoy the monster truck racing and of course the giant robot, which it seems like the developers of Kirby Epic Yarn knew which ones would be more fun, because you do manage to transform into the more interesting transformations, I suppose, more often than not. Now, playing through the game isn't like you would traditionally. You can't die. Again, tailored towards kids. But it doesn't necessarily mean that there's just no challenge in it. There's beads throughout each level, and depending on how many beads you collect when you reach the end of the level, you will be rated. You'll either get a bronze medal, a silver medal, or a gold medal, depending on if you reach the quota of beads there is. Now, kind of like Sonic, if you fall in a pit or get hit by an enemy, you'll drop your gems. Now, you will have the opportunity to pick them back up, but if you don't pick them up fast enough, they'll disappear. And if you fall into a pit, a lot of the times you'll just drop the gems right down there and they'll be gone forever. So that's only the really frustrating part of it, is if you're trying to go for a gold. There are other things to collect in these levels as well, including furniture. Yeah, that's right. Patch furniture, that is. You see, when Kirby gets to Patchland, he immediately gets an apartment, thanks to Prince Fluff. And you can furnish this apartment with furniture that you buy at a store or you get through the levels. Also, you can furnish other apartments, which are kind of like a sticker game, where you see the outline of what the sticker is and you're supposed to match the right patch to the outline. Upon doing that and getting the right stickers or patches and putting them over those spots, you'll be able to get tenants. These tenants will come in and offer Kirby mini-games. Upon beating the mini-games, you will get fabric. Yeah, fabric. I know, seems kind of lame, but you can use that to also reupholster your apartment and your furniture and put different fabric on your walls. It's kind of fun in a dollsy kind of way. Children will probably enjoy it more than grown-ups, but you can take pictures anytime during the game and post it on your Wii board, your Wii post board there, and So that's kind of fun. Some people won't find it quite as fascinating, but the mini-games quite are fun. Everything from gem collecting to racing to defeating a certain amount of enemies before time runs out and so on. And I didn't really find them that boring. They keep it mixed up a bit. So there's definitely plenty to do. Now, if you just went straight through and went from each level to the next and completed the story without worrying about getting all the different gems and the extra levels and stuff, it probably wouldn't take you that long to beat the game. Maybe about a day or two at least. But all the extra stuff is what makes the game fun. And that moves us on to the last thing, multiplayer. Now, it seems like it's a growing theme with most of the Nintendo games right now that they're adding at least two-player co-op multiplayer on most of their games. The Donkey Kong Country game coming out is going to be doing the same thing, and it started with New Super Mario Bros. Wii with being able to play 4 players at one time. Now, keeping with the more kid-friendly or less competitive, more cooperative theme, you can't really kill each other in this game. Of course, you can't die in the first place. You can pick up your partner and throw him at an enemy, and you'll kill the enemy, not your partner. Now, I managed to play this game with my friend B-Dog. He's my best friend, and he doesn't like New Super Mario Bros. Wii, at least multiplayer, because he's not really good at it. So most of the time I just end up picking him up and throwing him into pits, or he just gets frustrated. So I really had to badger him to play Kirby Epic Yarn. And after I explained to him, you can't die, it's more about cooperation, and everyone wins in the end. So he finally picked it up and played it, and lo and behold, he enjoyed it. He was actually smiling while playing this cute little fluff ball of a game. And he's a kind of a burly, manly man, so the fact that he was playing while he was smiling while playing a Kirby game was kind of fun. So if that multiplayer was able to make someone like him smile, I think it'll make other people smile. Again, it's more on cooperation, and while you can see who collects the most beads, for the most part, in the very end, it doesn't really matter. It does add a little bit of challenge to the fact that since you're sharing the beads, if one of you do screw up, you'll still lose the beads altogether. But other than that, some people might say it's a bit tacked on at the very end, but it works, and I don't think it's tacked on. I think it's nice. That way, it's not just a single-player platformer like the old days. It's something that you and your friend can enjoy, play with your kids and your wife, teach them how to play the game, and then they can play it on themselves. And it also makes some of the boss battles a little bit easier too, which also is a highlight of the game as well. Now, the boss battles, due to the lesser difficulty of not being able to die, the challenge of it ain't really as there as it once was, except for if you're going for the ultimate gold in the special patch that will let you play the extra levels in an area. But they're still very fun. My favorite bosses were Hot Wings and Meta Knight, and it was really cool to see Capamari, where you just have this octopus who has a yarn cap on his head that you have to unravel before you can defeat him. They're definitely unique and probably the most stunning characters to look at in the game. And there's also mini bosses, some classic ones you might remember from old Kirby games, and some new ones that don't take quite as much effort to defeat but are still fun. All said and done, there's tons of extras to collect, and it might be a short game, but it's definitely a game you'll be able to enjoy with your younger kids or younger brother or wife. For the more hardcore platforming enthusiasts, you might want to skip this game, but like I said, hardcore platforming enthusiasts probably might want to pass this up. Otherwise, if you are a Kirby fan, you're not going to be disappointed. Overall, this is a great experience and definitely a pickup for any Nintendo fan, Kirby fan, or platforming fan. If you want something that's going to challenge you, you're probably not going to find it here. Otherwise, if you want something cute, fun, friendly, and original beyond belief, then Kirby's Epic Yarn is right up your alley. As usual, I want to hear from you. What do you think about the game? What do you think about my little blog? Please subscribe if you like what you hear. Until next time, game fans. Sorry, hang on. Oh? Ow! 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 Oh, for crying out loud. Keep playing, everyone. This is Twitch.